So, dear colleagues, welcome to my presentation today regarding the human factors in AI course project. I'm going to talk about a personalized recommendation engine for our e-commerce customers. I picked up this project because this was my project in the previous modules also. So I would like to keep the consistency. So the first thing is we have a problem about overwhelmed customers due to vast product options. When you go to an e-commerce website, you will be bombarded with a lot of product options and you will feel overwhelmed yourself to find the right product for yourself. So yes, that's a problem that the customers, we are struggling with the product discovery, and machine learning is the perfect thing to help solving that through personalized recommendations. And I do care as a customer to have a better experience, and businesses also cares because they will increase their sales. So the first thing that I would like to start with is design thinking process. So if we are going to design an algorithm that's actually helpful for recommendations, we need to start with empathizing with our users. Next step is going to be defining and ideating, prototyping, and finally testing. And it's important to mention that each step in itself is iterative, and also the whole process will be iterative in that case. If we go a bit deeper, we will observe our customers, how they are behaving when they are shopping through our website, and we might try to engage with them maybe throughout some surveys involving customers when they complete their shopping or through their shopping. And with this way, we will have a empathy to the customer, how they think, how they would like to have it. The next thing will be defining actually what is our user, what is the need, and what are the insights to that solution. So our users are our clients that use our website to shop. Their need is a smooth experience to find the products and to find maybe alternative to the products. And the insight to the problem is there are too many products to search to find what they might need or what they might fit to them. So the ideate phase is about entertaining a lot of ideas without going so much to solution. So we can talk about here a basic recommendation system, maybe with stars, maybe a more sophisticated recommendation system using AI. And we can talk about additional aspects to the model, such as maybe seasonal, location-related features that are included or not. It's important to mention that in the ideate phase, we are not going too much to solutioning, but more about entertaining different possibilities. So the next step would be prototyping. Prototyping needs to be fast and cheap. So we like to use mockups, for example, and then in that case, we will show how the recommendations will be shown, where they will be on the page, how relevant they will be, and how they can evolve with the further shopping experiences, and how will be the navigation between alternative products, for example. And the last phase would be mockups, is being put into the hands of the customers. And in that case, selected users, also the business owners, can go to the mockups and navigate through the website. And we can see how are their reaction or feedback. And depending on their feedback, we will iterate back to even the beginning or maybe the define phase of the design and then go from there. The next thing that I would like to touch shortly upon is the task analysis. So actually user is the customer, and the task is actually for us recommending products to ease the shopping experience, right? The first trigger is that the customer is logging into the system. After they log into the shop, the action that they are going to do is searching for the desired product. So they have a need maybe, and then they are starting to search. That's the action, first action. Then the decision step comes when they find the product, is this product fitting to my need or not? So that's the decision part. And then there might be coming another action to say that, okay, I found the product, however, are there any alternatives to this product? How can I search for the alternatives for this product? And then the decision between alternatives, maybe a comparison, and after that saying that which alternative best fits to my needs. When I made my decision, the next action could be placing the item to the basket or to the cart, and deciding that if I need any more items, so I go back to the product search. If I do not need any more items, then in that case, order. If I need items, then I will repeat the search process. And the objective of the whole task analysis or the whole system is a smooth and efficient shopping experience. So we need to be careful when we are designing our user interface, because we need to use some principles, which is named as non-Norman 6 principle of interaction design. We will follow that. And it will be following these 6 steps. Visibility. So the more important, the more visible. The most relevant products will be the ones that's shown in the front page or in the most visible place of the page. The feedback mechanism. So each action that the user is taking, we need to communicate back what is done. So for example, if a user is leaving a search by clicking on a suggested item or an alternative product, we need to be communicating that accordingly. We need to mention this constraints, like we need to simplify the interface by implementing interaction options. So when we are, for example, navigating between the products, it should be made very easy and not complicated. So we should limit the things on the page that the user can do. We need to make clear relationships between control and effects. For example, when you are adding a product to the cart, are we going to show the alternative options? And we need to be clear about the purpose of these actions. So when the workflow of the navigation between the products is defined, it will be the same in every page and every product and every navigation point. So this ensures us consistency. And last but not least is the clarity. So when we have some actions, such as, for example, do not show similar products again. So we need to make the name and explanation very clear what this action does to our system. So the next thing is about, we have some AI-specific considerations about the user experience and user input. So the first thing is the input type. So we will have different user inputs. Like we can pop up a regular questionnaire to fill in forms, such as like, what is your style preference, brand preferences, can be also done by showing products with like and dislike buttons. We can have votes and ratings for each voting of a customer that's bought, or maybe that's even shown, that can be considered as an input, and all the actions that they are doing. User does around the product, purchase or an item, everything. We have a problem about cold start here, because when the user first time logs in, we do not have maybe enough information about them to make good suggestions. So the first approach could be to that is a heuristic based approach, means that we can use the other users' data or the kind of age, for example, or the shipping address and the star systems, and maybe make some simple suggestion out of that. The next thing to help cold start problem could be a questionnaire that's popping up when they log in to ask their size, style, age, color choices, which gives a good start for us, for the engine. And we need to give some kind of initiative for this calibration step, maybe a credit, loyalty credit, or a discount for the first purchase, and all these. And then the last thing in this page is communicating around inputs. So we need to be very clear about what we are collecting as data and for what purpose. For example, if the user answers to the questionnaire or the login data that they are giving, age, gender, and shipping address, we need to be clear that we are actually using this for this suggestion engine. And also it should be visible in the profile of the user, that the user can always go back, check them, or correct. So we need to be also clear about where AI exists. So there can be different places in the website that the AI works and exists. So we need to be clearly communicating in the side note that the products that the suggestions are coming are created by an AI-based recommendation system. And we need to also explain that which kind of data we are using to train this model, such as your personal shopping data, questionnaire maybe you filled in, and other customers' shopping habits, seasonal data maybe, or locational data. We don't need to give too much transparency into the model, since it's not very critical for the user's well-being or life. So we can, but however, we can say, for example, that the model is continuously trained by the user interactions with the system, data is collected, and the algorithm is using these data to reach its predictions. We need to communicate also that the suggestions are including a lot of uncertainty, right? So it's like all the AI systems are inherently probabilistic. So in our case, we are just predicting what the product of interest. However, still, we can be wrong about if this product is interesting or not. So we need to be communicating that it's just a suggestion, and it's nothing more than a suggestion to make the navigation easier for them. And if the algorithm predicts or suggests, for example, a certain size to fit the user, then it becomes important to communicate that it's just an estimate size and might not fit the user. There are different feedback loops that we can use, explicit and implicit feedback. So explicit feedback could be, for example, when we suggest a product, we can directly ask the user, do you like this suggestion? Like yes, no, and this can be used as a feedback. Also, we can regularly offer some kind of surveys regarding the quality of product suggestions, or by offering some benefits, like to motivate the user to fill them in. Like we can give some discounts, or we can give some royalty credits, and this answers to the survey can be used feedback to the model. And implicit feedback is, of course, every action that the user does on the website. So clicks, purchases, returns, likes, add to cart. time spent on different products, checking the colors and alternatives. And we will ensure the slow down the decay rate of the model by using these explicit and implicit feedback loops. The next important thing when we think about AI ethics is, of course, the data privacy. So we are collecting some data such as shipping address, purchase history, age, gender. So this can be categorized as maybe indirect identifiable subset of the personal identifiable data, which actually subjects us to different data privacy practices. We might start to apply fair information practices. However, this will not be enough since we are planning this e-commerce website to be serving in Europe. In that case, we need to follow the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of Europe, and this will be our main guidance for data privacy. And considering that this privacy is the strictest policy in the world at the moment, this will ensure that we can operate in many other countries. However, having said that, we still need to, for each new country, check the local regulations because there might be some local regulations that we still need to consider. When we follow the GDPR requirements, some important things applies to our model also, such as transparency, data minimization, accuracy, accountability, purpose limitation, storage limitation, and data security. And these are all explained in this slide. And some of them are maybe important to mention that, for example, we need to be transparent about which data we are collecting, for what purpose we are using it. We collect minimum data and nothing more. We need to ensure that collected data is accurate and correctable by the user. We need to be accountable about how the privacy procedures are accounted, and we need to limit the usage of data. So if you collect the data for this purpose, we cannot use it for anything else, right? So we need to limit the storage of the data. If the user deactivates, for example, the account after a certain time, the data needs to be deleted, and all the data needs to be secure and against the cyber attacks. As an addition to the privacy policies, we need to follow some of the instructions that the GDPR mentions about the right of the individuals. So they need to be informed when the data is collected and what data is collected and where this data is stored. And we need to give the right of access. So whenever they want, they should be able to access their data. These are like all the data that we are collecting about them. So they need to have the right to rectify it. So say that I want this data to be deleted. And they also need to have the right to be forgotten. So if they want to be forgotten, all the data related to them should be deleted permanently. And they can also restrict the processing. They can say, for example, you can collect my data. However, I don't want my data to be used, for example, for recommendation engine, then it should be subtracted from that. And also they need to have the right to object to what we are doing, and the data portability, if you are removing their data from one place to another one. So they also need to be able to ask us, please give my data, and then I want to move my data from A to B. And we need to also give the chance them to opt out from the recommendation engine because they do not want to be subject to an automated decision making. These might be much more important for some specific AI models, but for us also they apply. So we need to also think about biases that our model might have and sources of them. So the first thing is about data collection, right? So our data definitely has a historical bias because we are going to collect a lot of historical data about shopping choices, and these choices are being affected every day with the new trends and maybe some other reasons, and historical data might create a bias towards the past choices, which is not relevant today. So if you think about something was fashion, something was very important like 5 years ago, and now maybe nobody's using it anymore, this code might be a historical bias by a recommendation engine. Representation bias can be that our training data set will only be a small subset of the whole world's customers shopping, right? So, or even our target customers. So certain group choices will be underrepresented, and also training data might have uneven data between the groups. So like different groups, different genders, different people. So this will lead to also a representation bias. Measurement bias can appear actually when we are defining the features and labels. So we might define some features and labels that's not representing the choices of, or representing poorly the choices of like certain groups, like for example, young people or middle-aged people or people with kids or without, and gender and etc. So the last one is in this page is the training and evaluating the model biases. So learning bias might happen because we will choose a model that amplifies overall performance. However, this might result in poor performance in certain groups. For example, it might not give a good performance suggestions of the products for pregnant families, shopping choices, to increase actually the overall performance. So the deployment bias we do not have in that case as a concern, because the intended usage and the reuse of the engine is clearly in the website about product suggestions, and it will not be affected by external user intent. So in that case, it's not really relevant in our project. Feedback loop bias is important because when the design of the system incorporates a feedback loop, like for example, which items are purchased the most, they are appearing up, but because mostly bought items historically will stay at top of the list, and they will keep maybe being bought by the users more, so they keep showing top of the list, which leads to more sales, and it's like a kind of circular situation that will lead to a feedback loop bias. One more thing that I want to consider is the fairness, accountability, and transparency. So we need to be fair about individual fairness and group fairness. So the people from different people, but from the similar backgrounds, should receive similar product suggestions. So it's important here for us because anti-discrimination is important for the engine, that engine cannot recommend things depending on discriminative, irrelevant personal features. And in that case, so we should be careful about that. Group fairness, also to minority groups or majority groups, we need to be careful about how our is model behaving to different groups and how it's suggesting the products, right? Accountability, we do not have an important effect on anybody's life. So the accountability can be defined as simple as improvement when the performance is not in the desired level by the users. So, but also users should have a chance to not to use the engine. So if they say, I do not want to use it, so there should be a possibility for that. Transparency, we don't need to give a very deep explanation about how we are reaching our predictions, but we need to also tell the users about which data we are collecting and which data is affecting our model. Thank you very much for listening and looking forward to further learning. This was my project for the last module that we had in this project, AI Product Management Specialism. Thank you very much.